I'm going to express a very simple concern about the gold access model, and that is that to the degree that APCs are written into grant funding, that represents money being redirected away from research and towards dissemination. Now, having expressed that concern in very simple terms, I will acknowledge that the reality that it describes is complicated. That redirection may or may not be may or may not represent a better use of funds than would have been used otherwise. That redirection may represent more or less money. On balance, this may be a perfectly good thing. However, I have found that when I raise this concern in conversation with people, I very often get one of three responses. The first response is, "You're a bad person, shut up." I don't get that one. That's not the majority response, but some variation on it is fairly common. A more common response is, look, even if all of the authors who are publishing in gold venues were to write their APC funds into their grant proposals, those grant fund redirections would still represent very small percentages of the overall research budgets, which I think is true. But one thing that I've learned is that whenever somebody wants to tell you about a percentage, it's probably because they don't want you to think about the larger number of which that percentage is a part, and vice versa. So a couple of numbers to throw out. 1% of the Wellcome Trust's annual budget for grant making is £7 million. That's a small percentage, but it is a large amount of money, and it represents a fair amount of research. 1% of the National Institutes of Health annual budget for grant making is $300 million. That's a large amount of money. It's a small percentage, but it's a very large amount of money. Again, to say that this is a redirection that happens is not necessarily to say that it is a bad redirection, but it is a cost that we have to take into account if we're going to have a real responsible conversation about the costs and benefits of gold open access. And then the third response that I get is, well, these researchers shouldn't have to write their APCs into grant proposals. The library at their institution should cover their APCs. And in fact, many of us in libraries are, to some degree, actually doing that. We did an experiment in our library a few years ago, and we actually carried it on for 2 or 3 years, where we set aside $20,000 and said to faculty on campus, hey, if anybody wants to publish in an open access venue that charges an APC, and you would like some support, let us know, send us your plan and let us know what you're doing, and unless there's something goofily wrong with it, then we'll pony up the APC for you. And we did that, and what we learned from that was, not very surprisingly, that when you offer people free money, they'll take it. But what we also found was that with that $20,000, every year we ended up underwriting the publication of somewhere between 10 and 12 articles. And there came a point at which we had to ask ourselves the very, very difficult question: was that $20,000 better spent making 10 or 12 articles produced at the University of Utah freely available to the world, or would it have been better spent making a database or several journals available to our local university community? I do not wish to suggest by any means that the answer to that question is obvious. I only want to suggest that approaching that question in a careful and mindful way is essential if we're going to move forward and make correct decisions in support of our institutions. Thanks.